That crazy person. We all know, aren't we all? All right, let me get settled in while you get settled in. All right, it just means me walking to my mat, right? So, thank you for joining for this evening hatha. This is a 45-minute flow to stretch, move, and relax. Hatha meaning a slower pace than vinyasa, where you get to kind of take time to rest into the poses or really breathe and stretch, adapt as you choose to support your body. You can use blocks, straps, nothing at all. When in a vinyasa practice or power flow, where we are waking up and really looking for that flexibility in certain poses, we may really bring awareness to the feet and the knees if they're straight or bent or you're lengthening. In hatha, that can be a bit more relaxed, so to speak, but you're still using those muscles and you're still gaining flexibility and bringing awareness to the body and breath, just doing it at a different capacity. So I actually wanted to get started. We'll start in standing, but before we do, whether you're finding your mat or you're doing this adaptive in seat or on bed, I know I did mention that we would do another practice in the chair. So we'll do that next week because I still want to get that. But today I wanted to start standing. Just one of those days. A lot of people that I ran into today where people were really needing and requesting in classes, well, saying they needed like that longer lengthening stretch. And so standing can help us to do that. Before I get started, I themed this one a class for pleasure of the mind. I didn't want to. I feel like I wanted to watch and how I worded that, and I still don't think that it's perfectly worded, or I know it's not. There's no perfect way to word that without someone maybe bringing awareness to some things of wonder in the mind. But this theme that's been kind of recycling, and I wanted to talk about it is pleasure. And I took a yoga class earlier today, and they passed out, the yoga instructor passed out a sheet on pleasure and the birthright of pleasure. And then I was like, oh, I forgot the paper. Human things, forgot the paper. But still wanted to just touch on this because I've had conversations with people where there seems to be like this extremes and then everything in the middle, where some people find you work for your children or your grandchildren or your loved ones or your friends, and you work and you work and then you save and you save, and then you maybe don't show as yourself as much self-care as you could, being in this form that we are on this earth. And then I meet others who can still, they're somewhere in between. They save a little, spend a little. And then others who, either they're spending or not, really make time for that self-care. They make time for pleasure. But then you have the extremists where you get into pleasure so much and then it can cycle, and then you get into the thing of addiction or unawareness, or just maybe not having concern for other around you because you're so into the pleasure that you're finding for yourself. And so I say pleasure of the mind because I just want to open this up as an awareness, as something to think about or bring to mind. And where do you find yourself on, if you have like a spectrum, if you have this kind of line out in front of you, and one side is that full unawareness and pleasure, and then the other side is maybe that working, you're saving, you're not spending at all. Kind of where do you find yourself? And there's no good or bad. It's just kind of where you're at. And then if you're kind of unsure about that, it can be kind of looking at your actions, reviewing and analyzing your actions. What have you done in your life how does that relate to your relationship with self, with other, with money, with food, with drugs, with alcohol, with activities, drinks, and then kind of starting to figure out, how much then, because the thing with they always say like, everything in small doses, and that can keep one away from getting lost in the pleasures of life. So small doses, if you have a glass of wine, with dinner, or you have a piece of cake, or you smoke just a little bit, or you have, you know, um, activities that you and your partner do, uh, but not to go overboard, or, to that sense of moving from it's you and your partner's relationship to your partner being that, but then you moving outwardly into others or with others in activities, with the unawareness of your partner or them unknowing, and you doing it on a kind of progressive or continual pattern where others might notice this, or then you eventually notice it yourself and go, whoa, like what am I doing? Where can I bring myself back to this place with partner? Or if you're drinking and you find yourself drinking 3 bottles with dinner instead of 1 glass, or even 2 glasses, whatever you call it, it keeps you away from finding trouble, I would say, and bring it back to that line that you have for yourself, because we all have these lines and they're different. It can be different based on our economic level. It can be different based on, our kind of beliefs and where we set ourselves apart from others. It can be different based on our body types and preferences. And so that's what you kind of, excuse me, you look at it, you kind of have to guess for self. I'm going to get a drink of water while we talk about that. And actually, I'm going to grab my tea I made. Speaking of pleasures, because there's caffeine in it. So I'm just kind of reviewing and kind of letting that sit with self before we get started. Just a moment of awareness, and if you're someone that you find maybe has a difficult time allowing self to grow into pleasure, to allow, just some people just call it fun or good things or the gifts of life, depending on if you're someone who believes in, we're here to experience, and that can be all things. We are the good and the bad. We are the both. We are the in between and the neutral. And so it's just these experience of lessons in life. But even these lessons are experiences in life. And then you kind of go on to the next thing. Some people call it earth school also. Some people call it, a level in a universe of life that we live. So there's so many ways you can go about it with then continuing after you get the awareness, but just starting at that point of kind of where are you on this kind of spectrum or line. And so if you're not someone who dabbles in any of that, is it something you would be open to? If you are living on a schedule or by a clock or in strict eating and different things by choice, maybe where can you let a little wiggle room in? And if you're on the other, side, like I said, that kind of going back to that pullback, with the example I gave with the partner. So if you have any questions and things about that, feel free to open up conversation. You can leave comments, and who knows? I like to say there might be more to talk about this. There's definitely more to talk about it, but I might carry this conversation over to something else. I might not. Who knows? Sometimes good intentions don't don't cycle on. They are as they are, and they are. So cheers to that with caffeine, which for me is not overindulging in the caffeinated beverages, finding my limit for myself, and then pulling back. And then welcome to our practice. So we're going to, if you are seated, allow your knees to come close into chest and just kind of wiggle anything out. Wiggle the feet, stomp the feet, bring awareness to floor to mat. Maybe you wiggle the toes or spread them apart. Foot yoga on Sunday, if you're wondering more about that, and preparing and working the feet in new ways. Take a breath. Then we're going to allow those feet and toes to fall out to one side. Hands will come forward. We're going to get up in our yoga squat. Then we're just going to rise. So slowly and surely start to slow down the body and rise. Breathe. Roll the shoulders back. And here you are in standing. But you do have that option to make this an adaptive flow if you choose by finding seat. You just might forward fold, then unroll up into your seat, or you're already there. So I'm just going to bring awareness to the feet, allowing all sides to be connected to mat. And we will lift our toes if you choose, or depending on what is going on with your body. So if you do choose to lift the toes up, we're lifting the toes, we're spreading them apart, and you're going to feel the other palm and the sides and the back of the foot connected to mat. Check in with body, start to bring awareness to the belly, the spine, the back, the shoulders, and then you can release the feet because that might be a lot. And then we're going to lift up off the heels and just rise and put pressure on those toes to connect to the mat. You always have option to hold onto the wall or furniture or chair if it is sturdy. You might feel this in the heels, the bottom of feet, into the calves or up into the pelvis even, or the lower abdominals. And then come back to floor, lift the toes once again. We're going to do things in twos tonight. And rise. Think in twos. Return. We're going to work with the inside of the foot. So you're going to turn to the outside of foot. If you're wearing shoes, be mindful because your shoes might protect your ankles, which means this might not happen in those shoes. And release. We're going to bring awareness to the outside of the feet. So your toes, we're going to turn inward onto the inside of the foot and the big toe, and the outsides of feet where the pinky side is going to lift and rise. Then settle back down. We'll take the inside foot up again. And then release and lift the outside one more. Hands can be wherever. And release. All right, you can shake or wiggle that out. You can take some ankle circles if they're asking, because that's a little balance too. All right, and then you can shake out the body if you choose. And we still have to have a little bit of play, even in our conversations. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take the arms around, raise them up to ceiling and sky. Vision can follow. Palms can connect and touch. Take a baby back bend here. And exhale, forward fold. Find your forward fold. We're going to breathe and move and rest here. You might bring awareness into the lifting of the toes again, or lifting of the heels, or the sides as your hands are there to now support you. You can always keep your head lifted and raised if you have anything going on with vertigo. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to invert the head, crown to floor. Breathe. You're going to feel this stretch in the back of the legs, the calves, the hamstrings. And just breathe here. Maybe bend and unbend the knees. And if you've been practicing with me for a bit, then maybe you notice where you're at with your Uttanasana, your forward fold. Where are your feet today, and being observant of that. And maybe you're reflecting on where they were last week or a month ago, or maybe this is your first time bringing that into awareness. So you take note of where your feet are and how your upper body feels as you fold over this week. And then you kind of analyze that for next week. How's your belly feel? Are you engaging those abdominal muscles? Are you kind of holding air, holding space in the belly? If you are, take a really deep breath in and exhale. And then welcome the upper body to soften a bit more. It's going to put a little bit of pressure on your ribs and the belly, but you're going to come in closer to your body. And if you'd like a additional support system, you can do just as I just did. Take the arms, wrap them around the back of the legs, really release, breathe, and come in closer to the lower body. Really do your best to exhale everything out of that belly, out of that middle system, to allow the body to come in close to one another, this nice self-soothing position. And then maybe you release. Maybe you find ragdoll here. And welcome stillness in your Uttanasana forward fold. Now that I mentioned that awareness of really releasing and exhaling all that air, everything out of the belly, so that your upper body comes closer to your lower body, bring awareness to your hands, and your hands being still in alignment with the shoulders, but the fingertips connecting to mat. Maybe you, if your knees are bent, maybe you unbend the knees a little bit. You don't have to go full throttle here. Like I said, not the power flow, but if you choose to, for that deeper stretch, you're more than welcome. But just notice where your hands are. And then if you have your fingertips connected, maybe allowing the fingers to now connect to the mat. And you can lift the head up a little bit if you choose, just to see where your fingers are. And then, if you choose, seeing if the palms would like to also connect to mat. You can put a little stretch in the wrists, so you're more than welcome to have those knees bent. And then you're more than welcome to gradually, slowly unbend the knees. You don't have to, though. And if your head inverts once again, you might feel the stretch differently. Now going into the arms, the sides, the shoulder blades. And that deeper release in the belly allows you to bring your hands closer to mat, possibly. It allows you to lengthen through your body, coming closer so you're lengthening down deeper. And as you stretch and do more with this, now this would be more in our midday vinyasa, if your hands are out front, the more you stretch and breathe and relax and flexibility finds itself in those muscles, the closer you can bring your hands in to the sides, the outside of either foot, and then you're going to feel that stretch differently, actually going down into the legs and the hamstring. So all the muscles are connected. So we're just moving nice and slow, evening hatha, moving slow with it, but it can really take time because you might feel this stretch a little differently. You're also going to feel it differently if your fingers are faced forward versus the fingers facing back and the palms facing forward. You're going to feel that differently. So, and you might even then take the hands back behind you differently. So, something to play with while you're here. And then when ready, we are going to find a halfway lift, remembering the two. So, slowly rise into your halfway lift. Inhale, belly button pulls into spine. Exhale, forward fold. Once again, when ready, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. We're going to allow those knees to bend once again. We're going to walk the hands forward. Take your time. They're going to make their way forward, make their way forward. Knees are going to bend, and with slow and control, knees are going to make their way to the mat. The feet are going to go out behind you. Knees underneath the hips. Maybe fingers are spread apart, arms are underneath the shoulders. Vision is going to face the mat or floor. Or if you're doing this adaptive in seat, then you might just find your hands and arms out in front of you, so vision would be faced forward. We're going to take some cows and cats here. So at your own pace and time, find your cows and your cats. You're inhaling to find your cow, so you're dropping that belly, the tail and the vision make their way up at your own pace and time. And then when you're ready to find your cat, to exhale, release everything once again, bringing that awareness to center, to belly, to stomach. Let it all go. Belly comes into back, head drops. Breathing, inhaling again, cow. And exhale, cat. And maybe taking a few more rounds of your cow and your cat. at your own pace, your own time. Breathing, feeling the body. Where's the oxygen going? And when ready, returning to tabletop. We're going to bring a little awareness and stretch to the shoulder. We're going to take a gentle thread the needle. So you could keep the knees high and the tail high. And you don't have to, if you choose, you don't have to make the full twist as we do in some of our thread the needles. So you could just take that right arm out to side, lengthen for a moment, inhaling out and then exhale, and option to keep the tail high as you get your right temple or shoulder near the mat, or option to take the tail back and have a balasana variation of thread the needle. It's up to you. The other arm can just stay put, connected to mat. Just going to be here about a moment. Then when ready, returning to center. If you're in that balasana, then you might take a stretch at center and then rise once again. And back to our cows and cats. So at your own pace and time, find your cows and cats. Inhaling, exhaling, breathing. Releasing all the things that are now behind you, are now in the past and gone. Welcome yourself to this present space and moment. Then when ready, return, find your tabletop, and we'll take that thread the needle to the opposite side. So that left arm inhales out, exhales, threading through to the right side. Option to keep tail high or take it back. Breathing, that right arm can just stay connected to mat. Be here for just a moment. And when ready, release. Stretch at center if you chose maybe the Balasana variation. And rise. We're going to find some half crescent moons. So once again, at your own pace and time, maybe a little baby awareness on the core. At center, you breathe the inhale. And when your head and tail make it to one direction or the other, that's when you exhale. Taking your time, inhaling and exhaling, moving through your crescent moons. We just had a full moon and our new moon. Time for new moon in Pisces, which can get a little flighty. So at the last sign of the zodiac, right? So, but also that time for new, and is a time for season where a lot of creativity wants to become reality, where love and abundance can be targets. The focus here. Do what you love, build what you love, make that reality with that creativity, and find and explore the gifts of life. Once again, that could be pleasure if you think about it, going back to that theme. And we're going to allow ourselves to return to center. And we're going to find a balasana here. So we'll allow the knees to maybe go mat width apart if you choose, big toes touching behind you, and balasana. So you can take a more restful balasana here. You could bring the hands in close, allow the forehead to rest on the forearms or the wrist or hand where it's going to find comfort. Take any other variation if you prefer. And just breathe here about 5 or so breaths. When you're ready, finding that last breath or so, you'll gently rise with the forehead. The hands can support the body. Hands go long so that we can bring the knees in underneath the hips again. And we're going to walk our hands towards top of the mat, lengthening, welcoming belly, pelvis, the legs, front of legs to mat. Take a breath here. And we're going to bring the hands in close. We're going to bring the hands, sides of fingers, touching one another. We're going to press them into mat just to welcome this awareness into the upper body. And then we're also going to welcome this awareness into the forearm and the elbow coming in close to side and the forearm connecting, pressing down into the mat, just gently, nothing too crazy and or too intense. And then pressing the fingers and then the hands on both sides into mat. If you are sitting doing this adaptively in chair, you have the arms close and the palms will be facing forward instead of mat. We're just bringing this awareness to the upper body, to the forearms. We do some inversions and quite a bit of poses that balance on the forearms. It can start with that awareness, finding that strength, gently building that strength and awareness in the upper body. So, when ready then, we'll welcome baby cobra. So feet are flat, arms will be pressing into mat. Hold here and breathe just gently. And then if you choose, you could lift those hands and arms. The elbows are going to maybe come closer to side. A little bit of a growing a teenage cobra, you could say. And gently release, relax the body. Maybe the forehead connects with mat. Relax the glutes, the backs, the abs, the backs, one back. And then we're going to go ahead. We're going to allow the left arm to come out in front of us. We're going to backstroke the right arm behind us and reach for that foot possibly. We'll stretch here. Then when ready, gently release. Take it to the opposite side. That balance, things in twos. Breathe. And release. So that'd be one set. We're going to go back to the original side. Welcome that stretch. And then we're going to continue to find awareness with so I'm starting with my right side. So this is my right side of body. I'm going to continue to find this awareness where we're going to allow the right leg, you can do it with knee bent if you choose to start, and it's going to cross past the left, and you're going to come pretty much like almost more on your side, so that awareness to that forearm connection with the hand, connected to mat. We're going to rise and you're going to feel this stretch across the torso. I've been loving these cross-body stretches lately, so it's a little bit more gentler version of that. The right arm is going to also flow and follow that right foot out and away behind. Lift through so those shoulders are away from the ears. Breathing, opening. Head could go back if you choose. And then welcome everything back to its original side. We're going to do that on the opposite side. So we do that in power flow with our downward dogs. We find a three-legged dog. We take the leg over and it's as more of a bridge or wheelbarrow. So that, but a little bit more gentle. So now we're going to find that weight distribution on the right side. Left arm's going to backstroke. Find that stretch. Then when ready, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go and allow the left leg to continue, knee bent, to find its way past the right. The left arm is going to flow and follow. And then you're going to check in with that upper body again. You're going to bring awareness to that forearm. The right hand for me is facing towards you, camera. And the left arm flows out with that leg, lifting up through the shoulders. I know for me, I could even take my left foot out a little bit further because this side's a little bit more open, a little bit more flexible than my right side. Or I could even then, if I want, or my body's asking for a deeper stretch and a little more intensity, if it's too gentle, just using the same arm to kind of press that knee out a bit. But if you prefer and this is enough, you're more than welcome here. An option to drop that head if you choose. And then take it all back. And just find a moment to rest. So find a moment to rest. Maybe your legs are long, or your toes are getting a little stretch. Your belly and pelvis are connected to the mat. Your forearms are out in front of you, forehead connected to forearms, or maybe they're down at sides, forehead connected to mat. Or maybe one cheek or the other cheek is connected to mat. It's up to you. Just hang out here and breathe. Eventually relaxing the feet nice and flat if you choose. Take another maybe 2 breaths or so here. And then when ready, we'll gently allow the arms to release back to sides. We're going to roll down the body, finding Balasana once again. So you could roll down into it, keeping the knees aligned with hips, and just take the tail back. Don't worry about the big toes touching, or they could still touch behind you, and the tail eventually makes it over the shins. Arms go restful or long. Or you could take that variation where as you're rolling back or adjusting, your knees go mat width apart or maybe past the mat, big toes touching behind you, lengthen, or take your restful Balasana, breathe, stretch. Stay within your restful Balasana about another 5 breaths or so. We're going to stay extended hold, extended pose in your restful Balasana. I'm just going to check the time here, because that's important. We're getting there. We are getting there. So find your restful Balasana. Breathe. And as you find your Balasana, maybe the last breath or two, take in a nice Ujjayi or oceanic breath, a real deep, deep, deep breath. Inhaling as much as you can or choose, or really, really, really filling up the body. And then deep sigh and release. Letting everything go. Just be. And then after that has completed, allow your body to make its way up to its shins, however you choose to get there, releasing, unraveling, unrolling, stretching from your Balasana. We'll find ourselves on our shins, and we're going to take the arms out through sides. We're going to raise them up to ceiling and sky. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Vision can follow. Palms come together. We're going to back bend a little bit, just a little bit, and then exhale, forward fold. So forward folding on your shins, you might think, hey, that just brings me back to Balasana again. Yeah, a bit. So forward fold, just that awareness though of the lengthening while forward folding. And the legs are still aligned underneath the hips, so you don't have to worry about the big toes touching. Then you're going to unroll, unravel. Once again, we're going to then take the arms out forward and rise, raising up to ceiling and sky. Back bend once again, palms connect at any point there. Exhale, forward fold. Then you're going to, on your next breath, inhale at center. Exhaling, breathing, walking the arms and hands out to one side. So I'm walking mine out to the right side, feeling the stretch on the left side of my body. Breathe. And gently returning back to center. And when ready, then walking the hands out to the other side after an inhale, exhale, and breathing. Letting go of anything in the jaws, the shoulders, any tightness with every exhale. Then walking yourself back to center once again. And slowly but surely rising back to shins. Once again, we're going to allow our feet and knees to fall to one side or the other. And pause there as your tail connects with mat. Hands can be restful at any place. It's more of a gentle cat's tail pose. Breathing, releasing. And then when ready, we're going to allow our feet and legs with the support of the arms or hands to come out in front. And we're just going to allow our hands to support the legs to kind of walk our legs forward. So we're lifting a leg, heel extends and unbends while the other knee might be bent. And you're going to lift that opposite leg, that knee, and then the heel kind of makes its way towards the front of mat. As your tail comes to center, you're also lifting off that glute. Just a way to feel the body differently. It's kind of fun. You could try it backwards too. Because you have more weight on the legs and the lower body than you do the upper body and tail. So you're working more of those lower abs versus, just jumping through, or however we all get to middle of seat. It brings that awareness to that lower body, those lower abdominals, gently working those muscles that we might ignore sometimes. So shake anything out. Shake what you need. Let go. Release. Breathe. Take a nice grand sigh. And then when ready, we're just going to allow ourselves to pull both knees into chest. Inhaling here, exhaling the hands to either side, and allow the knees to drop to one side. And breathe. Start to relax that upper body here. Maybe the shoulders are a little shrugged. Then when ready, bring the knees through center, adjust the tail, and then drop the knees to the opposite side. Breathe, release. Allow the shoulders to just be where they are. Then bring everything back to center. We're going to stretch those arms behind us as the feet make their way towards the bottom of mat. And then when you're ready, you'll allow your back to meet the mat. Make any adjustments you need here. Option to take the arms overhead for a stretch. Option to bring knees into chest if you choose, and massage the spine and back. Rocking and rolling to one side and then the other. And option to take the legs long for a stretch. And then taking anything else that the body is calling here. Releasing. And eventually, you'll make your way into corpse pose or your moment for peace. Allowing the hands to go over heart or at sides. Allowing the shoulders, the jaw, the head, the back, the belly, the legs, all to rest. The body to rest. With every breath, allowing an overwhelming sense of calm and peace to come over the body. The mind with every breath. And just breathe. Option to close the eyes if you're in a safe space. Release the knees. Release the toes. Relax the eyelids with a gentle smile. continue to allow your body to rest in whichever pose or position it requests. Allowing every piece and part to relax. And if any of the words that I speak resonate with you or are welcomed, may you welcome them into your awareness. If they do not, may you allow them to pass you by, past your ears like the wind, paying no mind. Talking about pleasure and where you find yourself, and maybe that awareness of really how you treat yourself, what you welcome into awareness, and how that relates or then expands outside of self to other humans, to others in the environment, to the environment itself, to animals, to objects, to breathing, to the non-breathing, and just noticing and what it does to the body, what it does to the mind, and seeing where, as I mentioned at the beginning, maybe where a little pleasure, a little fun, a little ease can be welcomed. If it's something that maybe is in lack of, or just non-existent of, or not thought of, to welcome relaxation and a little peace of mind. Or if it's overwhelming or self-harming, where can then the pullback start to occur little by little, so you can take yourself out of a self-harming state, out of a harming of others state, whether it be human, something breathing, animal, something non-breathing, the rocks, the ground, the walls, and how that can turn to a moment of self-care, self-learning, self-love, and love of earth and other. And now, as you find yourself in this present moment, this present moment, this present moment and space, if you have the time and you'd like to, stay within your Shavasana or moment or peace or meditative state as long as you choose, then please do so. Otherwise, if you would like to end your practice and continue on with your day, then may you start to welcome some physical awareness back into the physical body, some breath, moving from body to outward, to leaving the body, welcoming renewal, rejuvenation, and allowing that overwhelming sense of calm and peace to stay with you if allowed, but you give yourself that approval or not allowment. And eventually, maybe you find yourself making your way into an easy seated pose, or whatever pose or position you choose. And we'll end our practice together. With a breath, we'll bring our hands together at heart. Breathing in, raising the hands to forehead, and breathing out. Then once again, we'll breathe in, bringing the hands to chin, and breathing out. And then bringing hands to heart. thumb to sternum, breathing in and releasing with a grand sigh. And may this flow ease you into the rest of your day with light, peace, smiles, and love. Namaste. So go off, be gentle with the body. If you have any questions about anything, any curiosities, comments, feel free to leave them down below. Otherwise, thanks for joining for this evening hatha and stretch. Like I said, you're always welcome to do this practice at any time that your body is asking, and you can adapt the poses as you choose. If you're looking or wondering how to make something more intense to bring it more of use for like a power vinyasa, or if you're looking on how to adapt with props or make it more gentle as the body requests, especially if you're about to go to bed, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, let's see, what do we have going on? No Sunday, no Parlor Yoga at Cafe this weekend, but we'll be back Monday with, I believe we'll be back Monday with gym class stretch on Instagram. So if not, there are plenty of replays there. I'll keep everyone posted. Thank you and take care. And let me make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. No, I didn't. All right, see ya.